Hi, I'm Najy.
I'm Alivia.
And we're the Lipstick Thespians. Coming at you with Pride palette looks every single day for the month of June.
Today's Pride palette is an old classic, the NYX Ultimate Brights.
This palette is like the OG whenever... This was, I think, our first rainbow palette that we ever had. We had this one before James Charles.
We did?
Yeah, we bought this one. Okay, story time about this palette is we wanted the James Charles palette when it came out, and it was sold out on Morphe's website. It was sold out at our local Ulta, but our local Ulta had this palette in stock, and they had testers of all of the NYX Ultimate palettes out, and we swatched it and we were like, ooh, this is nice. So we picked it up, and we had been calling this palette, we gave it the nickname Mini James Charles before, you know,
there was a mini James Charles palette.
And I love this little thing. And I also love what NYX is doing right now for Pride Month, which I really wanted to give a shout out to. They're specifically getting people from the LGBT community to be a part of their campaign. They are making charitable contributions, and they are working with queer charities and organizations to create the content. And not only are they like being like, oh, rainbows, you know, whatever, but they're like also bringing up biphobia and transphobia in their activism as well. And I think that's really big and really important. So shout out to NYX for doing it really well.
And also on a much less important note, part of the Pride collection from NYX this year is a repackaged version of this little guy right here. So if you haven't gotten him yet, you can get it in the limited edition packaging. If you have this one, you cannot. Or you can, you know.
If you wanna. But
yeah, if that's your deal, that's not my deal.
But this little guy has gone places with us.
Mm-hmm.
And I am really excited to dive back in.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute. Let's get to her.
And so we always prime before all our eye looks. I use the Too Faced Shadow Insurance.
And I use the Bare Minerals Eyeshadow Plus Primer.
So I'm going to just dig in right away, starting with shade 15 down at the bottom. This glorious yellow that when my hair is in its prime matches my hair pretty spot on.
Mm-hmm. I can see like the 3 parts of your hair that still look like they're in their prime, so
yeah. We're just gonna take this in the center to end part of the crease.
Alright, and then I'm going to dip into shade 13. Since this brush is stained green, we might as well just keep up the gamut. And I am going to use that on the outer part of my crease. So I know NYX shadows in general are very hit and miss. I've purchased plenty of NYX palettes in my time, but this one is a really solid one.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's been a hot minute since I've used it, so my opinions on it could change a little bit, but just from laying down the shadow, I am being reminded that this is a palette of quality.
I always recommend this palette to people who are looking to get into color.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to dip into shade 14 just to buff out the green a little bit. I'm going to take this, is this a Firma brush?
Yeah, it's a
Firma brush, and dip into 15 again. Just, I would like to have that packed on a little more densely before I blend it out.
I am going to dip into shade 4. I know this palette retails for $18. We got it for 20% off with the coupon at Ulta, but I know Ulta often runs deals on NYX palettes on top of the coupons that they have running, where it's either 40% off NYX eye products or buy one get one half off. So look out for, if you don't have this palette in your collection and you want it, look out for those deals. Mm-hmm. It's a really good time to buy this palette that's already pretty affordable. It's a 16 hand palette for 18. That's not too bad.
I am going to dip into, with my firmer brush, I'm going to dip into shade number 3. And place that in the middle of my crease.
One of the things I really appreciate about this palette is it has at least 2 options for each color.
I'm going to take a small blendy brush and dip into shade 15? No. 14? Yeah,
14.
to blend these two into each other.
And then I am going to go into shade number 1.
I'm going to dip into shade 15 and go right in here. Kind of in between my crease and my nose, but you know, maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline.
Except it's not Maybelline.
Except it's not Maybelline, it's NYX.
You will not see Maybelline on this channel.
No. We are a cruelty-free channel. So, if they want to be featured on this channel, they better get on that.
To be fair, we haven't even used any CoverGirl since they went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've thought about it. I used my ABH brush for that, if you couldn't tell.
Heard a lot of mixed things about CoverGirl products.
I used CoverGirl products in my youth, and I think that's all I need to know about them.
Yeah, I used CoverGirl powder foundation. Do you remember those?
Yes,
like black ones that came with the sponge?
Yes, my mom used that shit. Yep.
Yeah, I used that.
This orange is not the most pigmented. I'm going to go dip into shade 4 and try to deepen up my orange a little bit.
Then I'm just gonna blend these 3 warm toned shades together. I'm gonna take shade 3 right here, this coral orange, and I'm gonna just blend it on top of the deep orange that I have going on in the center of my crease.
I'm gonna take my flat Luxie brush over here and dip into shade 12. And put that in my inner corner.
I'm gonna take this flat Sonia Kashuk brush right here, and I am going to be dipping into shade number 10.
I have a tiny bit of fallout from the orange, so I'm just going to wipe that away. Very minimal though. Probably the least fallout from a palette I've had in a hot minute. I have like 99,000 packing brushes in my house. 99,000 packing brushes. Take one down, take another out. This is my Luxie packing brush, and I am going to take the shade number 6 with my Luxie packing brush and put that on my lid.
I'm going to take another Sonia Kashuk brush, and I'm going to dip into this blue-green turquoisey shade right here. It's shade number 11. I'm going to take this angled Luxie brush right here. I'm going to go into shade 13.
I'm going to take my fun blendy Luxie brush and dip into shade number 9 and put that in my outer corner. I wish this palette had, well, I mean, it has the dark purple in it, I guess, but I wish this palette had one more darker shade in it. That would be like my one request. I feel like there's a lot more light and dark in this palette, so it can be hard to like deepen things up. I am chickening it out ever so slightly. And what I mean by that is instead of using the red, I'm going to use number 2, which is the pink. And I'm going to put that on my lower lash line.
Alright, I'm going to take my Morphe Jeffree Star crease brush. I'm just going to go into this very light lavender shade, shade number 8 right here. And this is going to go in my inner corner.
Take my flat Luxie brush and just gonna go into shade 12 again. Accentuate that inner corner just a little bit more.
Now I'm just gonna dip into shade number 6. Alright, I'm just gonna blend out my crease with my eye.
We'll pop on some eyeliner, some mascara, some lips, and we'll be right back.
Final thoughts. This is a staple palette for us.
Yes, and in my opinion, it should be a staple palette for anybody who has any interest in color. If you aren't already if you haven't already amassed a collection of rainbow eyeshadows like us, this is a really good place to start.
Multiple people are like, I really want to get into colorful palettes, and they've recommended other palettes that I may or may not talk about in this series. One that I definitely have talked about in this series, and I always tell people, even if it's not an option for what rainbow palette that they suggest, I say, hey, have you checked out the NYX Ultimate Brights palette? Because it was my first rainbow palette, and I think it's a really good first rainbow palette. Baby's first rainbow palette!
She's nice, small, and portable, just like your baby self. Anyways.
Yeah, this is a travel-friendly palette. If you like smaller palettes, this is a small palette.
I think this is the smallest rainbow palette we have.
And it utilizes this size so well.
Yeah.
Like, for comparison, it's about the same. It is!
It's like about the same size as one of the Colourpop 9 pans.
And you get twice as many shades.
Almost
twice as many.
Almost. You get 16 versus 9.
Yeah, so this is a great value for the cost of the palette. You get a lot for the space. I think, like, for small palettes, I personally like the way that the pan size is in this one. I think this is the right amount of shades for a palette of this size.
And I think it's pretty much the exact right amount of shades for a little rainbow palette.
So, we love this little guy. We'll see how it falls at the end with our ranking video. Stay tuned. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like,
subscribe,
ring the bell,
and comment down below. Sound off. Do you have this palette? Do you like the looks we did with this palette? If you had to pick one rainbow palette as your staple rainbow palette, which one would you go for? I'm not saying this is the one I will go for. We'll see how the cookie crumbles at the end of the month, but I definitely think it is a great place to start.
So, thank you so much for watching.
See you next time.
Mwah!